believe you can all hear me. Right. So the moment we've been waiting for, we've been planning this for quite some time now. And today is actually the day, or this evening is actually a time for us to get onto this. All right. My name is David Austin Sego, but then I'm branded as Dawa Dawa, and then I happen to be the moderator for today's program for about the next 2 hours. Right. I would like to welcome you all to this program, and wherever you are watching us from across the world, you're all welcome. You are going to enjoy this, trust me. Joy 8 Foundation presents the Leadership Window Talk series. Joy 8 Foundation presents the Leadership Window Talk series, and this is actually the maiden edition. Joy 8 will be organizing this very frequently, maybe every month. Yeah, so this happens to be the maiden edition. That is the August edition. The first leadership conference organized by Joy 8 Foundation. Right. Most of you have heard about Joy 8 Foundation, but then you wouldn't know what Joy 8 Foundation does. So I would like to brief you a little about what Joy 8 Foundation is all about. So Joy 8 Foundation is a non-governmental organization with a focus on ensuring sustainable and inclusive development by reaching out to the greater masses of disadvantaged individuals and communities through the provision of quality training on leadership, environmental care, and then nurturing talents and skill sets among the youth in Africa and beyond. So this is what Joy 8 Foundation is basically about. They reach the less privileges or the less privileged, and then they impact life into them. They give them hope. Yes, they've already carried out some projects already, but this is their first leadership conference, which has been dubbed Leadership Window Talk under the team. Let's take note of the team. Under the team, overcoming hurdles in leadership. Overcoming hurdles in leadership. And we have great speakers coming to talk to us this evening all around the world. We have one speaker from Germany, one from the United States of America, one right here in Ghana. Yes, they will be taking us through to give us a great meaning about leadership and the difficulties that comes with leading, and then how to overcome them, and then how to overcome them. All right, so we are live. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook as well. Yes, those of you who have friends who want to join, they can join us on YouTube, on Facebook, and then on Facebook and then YouTube. Yes, we are live there. So they can also join us right here on Zoom. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for us to start the show or this program for the evening, we would like to invite the co-founder of Joy 8 Foundation. Yes, he is a co-founder and then also the project director of Joy 8 Foundation. It's no other person but Honorable Gary Jumo. Honorable Gary Jumo. opening remarks. Joy 8 Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Honorable Gary Jumo. Honorable Gary Jumo to speak to us.
Hello, Ghana. Hello, world. I would like to first of all extend a very warm welcome to you all to Joy 8 Foundation Knowledge Window Talk Series, one of our common heroes in leadership. Joy 8 Foundation is a non-governmental organization with the focus of ensuring sustainable and inclusive development by reaching out to the greater masses of the disadvantaged individuals and communities through targeted provision of quality training on leadership, environmental care, and establishing sustainable talent among the youth in Africa and beyond. This is our first talk series. I am honored to welcome our keynote speakers, Lawyer John Kumah, the CEO of NEIP, that's the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Programme, who happens to be the parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party, NPP, in Ejoso. From Ghana, and Ampontuah, the communication specialist, the multi-team project from Germany. And Matt Swifty Perry, leadership coach and podcast host from the USA. And Joy, a Japan, co-founder of Joy 8 Foundation. This program was organized with the motive of empowering youth with leadership knowledge and requisites. I believe the program is going to be educational and also meet expectations. I would like to thank the members of the organizing committee, myself as the co-founder of Joy 8 Foundation, Gary Jumo, and Joy Japan, and Oheneba Derek Fojo, and supporters from J. Creations. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Gary Jumo. Thank you very much. So like I said, Honorable Gary Jumo happens to be the co-founder of Joy 8 Foundation and also the project director and also the project director of Joy 8 Foundation. So he has said it all. He has said it all. Now, like I said, our speakers will be talking to us about the topic and the theme overcoming hurdles in leadership. And of course, I need you to get a pen and a paper or a notebook so you can jot things down, okay? Because whatever you learn, okay, you must share that with us. Give me a moment. All right, so thank you very much for waiting. So like I said, you should get a pen and a paper, because our leaders will be educating us about leadership and then how to overcome the hurdles in leadership. When we talk about hurdles, we are talking about obstacles, problems, the barriers, okay, in leadership. These are the things we face as a leader, and we can't run away from them. Okay, we must overcome these difficulties, okay, in order to have a smooth leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be having our next speaker, or one of our main speakers for this evening. He happens to be the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Programme, that is NEIP. National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Programme, NEIP, is a flagship policy initiative of the government of Ghana. The service provides integrated national support for startups and small businesses to ensure growth and development. He is interested in youth affairs and will share some experiences with the aim to help one overcome certain hurdles in leadership. So, like I said, to educate us about how to overcome these difficulties in leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready, take your pen and notebooks, okay, as we welcome the first speaker for this evening, Lawyer John Ampontuah Kumah. Lawyer John Ampontuah Kumah.
Thank you very much, David. And I want to say good evening to the other participants. I can see Matt Swifty, and regards to everybody else. I am happy to share this platform with you. Just want to say a few things about leadership. I mean, one of the few, let me say, three common pitfalls of every leader that you are likely to encounter are usually, described as personal, organizational, and environmental. So every leader, you may have to deal with these three major challenges: your own personal attributes, your understanding of leading people and how to handle challenges, and then also how to take care of your organization in terms of setting priorities and leading with clarity of vision for others to follow. But then also your environment. Environment is critical, where if you are not able to set up or if you don't find yourself in the right environment where structures work, it becomes very difficult for you to lead. And some of the toughest challenges that confront leadership is humility during success. I mean, when things go well and you are the leader, your ability to be humble in your success and to acknowledge that one person cannot bring victory. If you look at a football match, you need 11 players to play together as a team, even though you are sometimes likely to have a Messi or a Ronaldo who will stand out as a key player in the team. But whoever you are, you should be humble enough to admit the contribution of other people, however small it is.
You are.
Yes, you are.
I don't really know where I got caught up. So I was talking about humility during success, and then also confidence during setbacks. As a leader, you need your confidence when there are challenges in the organization, because when you give up, it means that everybody else who is looking up to you will lose focus. And so you should learn to be confident as a leader. I think another important quality of a leader is your ability to step back for others to step up. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to be the person who make things work. You should be able to allow other talents and people with opinion and other ideas to also contribute to the success of the group. So you should, as a leader, you should know when to step back and allow others to step up so that we can have better successes. We are told that when Steve Jobs started Apple, it was about $20 billion. And the new CEO came and he's taking it to over $120 billion. So when maybe Apple was making $20 billion, people thought it was doing well until the new CEO came and shut it up. So sometimes it's good to step back and allow others to step up so that you are able to see your strengths and weaknesses as well. Then a good leader should put his plans into action. Sometimes we make too many suggestions, too many plans and strategic decisions, and less than 10% usually get executed. So it should not only be about ideas. A leader should be able to execute his plans, and all that. And I think one constant observation in any leader should be ability to lead change. We are told that the constant thing in the world is change, because every time new ideas are happening, and people should be able, if you're a good leader, you should be able to identify when to adapt to what changes that are happening. Of course, you should be able to admit to your mistakes. Sometimes when everybody is praising you, but of course, people are pointing to your errors, it is difficult to admit when you are the leader that things are not going well. Your ability to admit that you have made errors and you are willing to improve on those errors and not repeat them also make you a very good leader. Admitting mistakes is one key component of Sorry, I'm almost done. So let me just, I think my network is not helping. But like I was saying, listening with the goal of learning, we should be able to listen, encourage constructive dissent in your organization so that you are able to pick up new ideas and lead the proper way. So these are some of the initial thoughts that I want to share with you on how we can become very good leaders in our organization.
Communication specialist in the multi-tip project from Bremen, Germany, and the multi-tip project from Bremen, Germany. He is a trained fisheries scientist with more than 10 years experience in the design, implementation, and evaluation. 10 years experience in the design, implementation, and evaluation. Okay, so he's a trained fisheries scientist, with more than 10 years experience in the design, implementation, and evaluation. He is an astute leader. Who is passionate about youth and development. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us get ready for our next speaker. He happens to be no one but Paul Tudor. So let's welcome Paul Tudor to join us.
Thank you. I'm really sorry for being late. I just ended another meeting. I just almost a few minutes ago, which I was also coordinating. So I'm really sorry for having to keep you so long. Nevertheless, I want to thank you for the invitation. And I would like to say that, first of all, you've changed my nationality. I'm not a Ugandan. So it's like you've given me another nationality, but that's fine. We're all from Africa. So the nationalities really do not matter. I mean, we have the same blood and color. I'm from Kenya, so a neighbor of Uganda. And currently I'm based in Bremen, Germany. And well, you've given me a lot of titles, which kind of make me look so big, but no. I'm really not a communication specialist, as you put it, and as you rightfully said, I'm a fisheries scientist. So fisheries is my passion, really, and I've studied fisheries, and I'm also a leader in the church. So I do a lot of work in the church here in Bremen. An elder of a local church here, and Derek is a good friend of mine. So when he invited me to talk, I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge because I wasn't very sure exactly of what I was going to talk about. And considering that we are talking about leadership, I'll say that I'm perhaps the least experienced to talk about leadership. But nevertheless, I would just like to give a few pointers to some of the things that I've learned over the years. And maybe now more than ever, we are living in a very difficult time. Sorry about that. Unprecedented time. None of us would have perhaps expected that in this time and age, we will be living in this era of COVID, and everything has changed. And more than ever, if we need a leader, if we need true leadership, it's really now that we need leadership that can actually deal with the challenges and the hurdles that you're facing in life. So I just have something very short that I want to present, and I will not say that it's a blueprint of how leadership should deal with hurdles, but this is basically just a compilation of some of the things that I personally have learned from. So just allow me to share my screen, have something, maybe just 10 slides that I would like to talk about. Then we can have a discussion. I would like it to be more of a discussion than me presenting and then listening, because it's not a sermon where we are all in church and listening, but rather it will be more important if we can interact, ask questions, and learn from each other. So do not take me as an expert, but rather also somebody who also wants to learn from you and your experiences. And I will also share with you the experiences that I think could be important, particularly now more than ever for the young people. So, all right, let me see if this is going to work. Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, just give me a thumbs up and that will be fine.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. So overcoming hurdles in leadership. And as I've said, I'm really grateful for the invitation. So when I thought about this question, I mean, one of the things that came to my mind was of course, am I a leader? And do I have the credentials to talk about leadership? And can I give advice, or can I give pointers to some of the important steps that we can take to overcome hurdles in leadership? So I take this from a very simplistic view. So I'm a scientist. So as scientists, there's a way we think. So my first impression was to break the points and ask ourselves, what are these things that we're talking about? So hurdles, for example. So I mean, if you look at Google, our best friend, the definition of hurdle is basically a problem that you have to deal with before you can make progress. So I think it's important to have this at the back of our mind, that we are talking about overcoming hurdles in leadership. And a hurdle is a problem or a challenge that we have to deal with if we want to make any progress. So I want to see yourself as a leader, and you are in an opportune position where you are supposed to either influence or make certain changes, but in front of you are situations, challenges, or circumstances that kind of hinder your progress, and you have to find a way either over them, around them, for you to be able to make progress with whatever desire, mission, or mission that you have as a leader. Then to overcome is to defeat or to succeed in controlling or dealing with something. So we've seen the hurdles, we have these challenges that are in front of us, and how do we defeat, or how do we succeed, or how do we maneuver to ensure that we can actually make progress? So that process of being able to confront or to deal with that challenge or situation is basically a simplistic way of saying that is to overcome. Then, of course, the question that Derek asked, leadership. So what is leadership? And I mean, there's so many definitions of leadership that you can find in the internet or whatever, in textbooks. But one that I like most is one by Ken Blanchard, which says, leadership is the process of influence. And it goes just beyond that. It says that anytime you seek to influence the thinking, behavior, or development of people towards accomplishing a particular goal in their personal or professional life, you are actually taking the role of a leader. So that means that each and every one of us is in a position where once or twice, or maybe several times in our lives, we are in this position where we are we kind of have the opportunity to influence the way people think, or people's behavior, or people's movement or shift towards a certain direction. So which answers the question, who is a leader? You are a leader, I am a leader. All of us are in one way or another in position of leadership, where we are at an opportune moment to influence or characterize or shape the decision or the behavior of other people. So with this in mind, we know what a hurdle is, we know how to maneuver around those, and we know what leadership is. So how do we deal with some of these hurdles in leadership? And there are several ways through which I want to believe other speakers have also spoken a lot about this. And I don't want to, if I'm going to repeat, I'm sorry about that. But these are just some that I would say relate personally to me. One of the things that I've noticed in my life is that as a leader, this is not working. The basic thing or the basic principle for you as a leader is you must have a vision or a mission. Where do you want to go? So we've learned that in leadership, we are in positions where we want to influence somebody's behavior, or we need to influence people, or to move to a certain direction. And in this movement, we find ourselves with barriers that we have to maneuver around. And this is one of my, I would say, perhaps one of my best visions, or one of the best missions that I've seen in companies, that is of Coke. It says their vision basically of Coca-Cola at some point was that they will want to have a can of Coke in the hand of every person on the planet. And if you think about it, in this planet Earth, where would you go in this world where you will not find a can of Coca-Cola or a bottle of Coca-Cola? So they have this vision that in every place or in every hand, we want to have a can of Coke. And somehow they've seemed to achieve this, despite the many barriers that have come. So we know there could be geographic boundaries or challenges. There could be logistical reasons. There could be language barriers. There could be religious barriers. All those barriers notwithstanding, Coca-Cola has been able to implement their vision. So they want to move from point A to point B. And their point B is that in every hand, there is a can of Coke. So for a leader, for me, leadership, to deal with any barrier, to deal with any challenge in life, without a vision or without a goal of where you are headed to, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to deal also with obstacles. Because then, why am I moving in a certain direction? The only way I'm moving toward a certain direction is because I want to achieve a certain purpose or a certain vision. Therefore, without that, it's like a ship without a rudder. So that is very important to me, that I need to have a blueprint of where I want to move. And then I have to remain true to that vision. I have to remain true to my goal or my blueprint, there are challenges that will come. And I like this simplistic drawing. I think I remember in our school, we used to have a saying like, you have the grass, the lawns that are kindly well manicured, and people will always want to find a shortcut and walk on the grass. So you have these notices around saying, do not walk on grass or whatever, or even it's only goats that walk on grass, to try and keep people away from the grass. So you see that you have a vision that you want to go to. And if you do not remain true to that vision, challenges will come on your way, obstacles will come on your path. But do you want to find a shortcut, or do you still want to stick to the vision that you have? Yes, your methods may change, your strategies may change, but your vision remains the same. That is, I want to move from point A to point B. And one of the best examples is that, with this COVID, one of the challenges that we've experienced in churches, for example, is the shift from having a physical worship to having an e-worship. For most people, it's like if you told people 5 years ago that we are going to have worship on Zoom, it was like, you are crazy. But now that is a reality. But if you still want to remain with the same mindset that we have to meet or we have to congregate, then it means that you kind of ignore the risk that comes with congregating together. But we can still worship on Zoom, we can still have our meetings on Zoom, and still be able to achieve the purpose which we have, and that is to spread the gospel, or to have a meeting or whatever. We are meeting now on Zoom. It does not stop us from the vision maybe that Joy has, is to empower the youths on issues of leadership. We can still do that on Zoom. So we have not changed our vision or our mission, but we have basically changed our strategies. So we need to remain true to the vision that we have, even if circumstances or hurdles come in our lives. But we can defeat difficulties if only we comply and remain true to the vision that we have. And then it calls for a change in attitude, which largely starts from the leader himself. So if you as a leader cannot be able to sell your vision or your dream to your colleagues or to the people, to your peers, if you cannot be able to shift people's mind from point A to point B, then if hurdles come, for example, now, as I've said, COVID is coming, people look up to you as a leader to provide direction, to provide guidance. And it has to start from you. You have to believe in that vision. You have to believe in that change. And it might mean making a 180 degrees in the way that you do things, in your approach. But you as a leader have to initiate that process. Then others will probably have confidence in you and also join you in the process. So it has to start with you. You have to remain true to the vision, but also as a leader, you must realize that the way things work in the past may not necessarily be the way things work now. Now, you have people, for example, one of the issues that I was looking at, for example, in Kenya, the struggle we are having at the moment is that most of the people who are working in the public service are probably people who are more than 60 or 50 years of age, and who may not necessarily be computer savvy as the young people. Now, with this shift from office to home office, how are they going to adapt, to the reality, to the new reality? It means, therefore, that if they cannot adapt to the technology that is there with them, then things will not move. So things that may have worked 2 or 3 years ago now have shifted. And everybody must now be able to operate Zoom, must now be able to operate some sort of an electronic medium through which they can be able to communicate and work. So as a leader, as you make changes and as you think of alternative ways, you have to initiate that process. And if you cannot do it yourself, it's important then for you as a leader to change and to modify your roles. And this is the point that I like most. Delegation of responsibility and passing on the baton to others is very important. And most often than not, most of us will not want to do that because we want to remain in a position where we control or influence every decision. But the reality is, without having the mindset to delegate and to change roles and to give the baton to other people, then obstacles come that you may not necessarily be accustomed to, or you're not able to deal with. For example, the technology now that you're working. So as a leader, if I'm more than 70 years old, I do not have any computer literacy, I cannot be able to organize Zoom meetings. What do? I need to hire young people. I need to think about a team of electronic savvy young people who can be able to come in and change the dynamics of how things work, so that even with my vision as an older person who may be more wise in terms of experience, I can still work with a team of young dynamic people who are able to help me to midwife the process. And I think this is very important, that when we deal with any obstacle or success in our lives as leaders, then how do we delegate? How do we apportion responsibilities to those who can actually help in the process? And I think more or less for me, that's it. And I want to finish with this biblical example. I like this example a lot because even if you're not a believer, even if you are not a Christian, think about this reality. We are told that when the Israelites left Egypt, there were around 600,000 men who were walking on foot, besides the women and children. Now, Moses was only one person. He was the only leader that was known then. And the vision was, or the mission was, move them from Egypt to Canaan, crossing the Red Sea, which was a major obstacle, walking in the desert, which was dry without water and food, dealing with people of perhaps mixed multitudes. So you have Israelites, you have Egyptians. So with all this, as one person, how was he able to deal with all this? It reached a point where even he himself was not able to. And then we find somebody out of the ordinary, his father-in-law, Jethro, coming and telling him, look, guy, if you think you're going to shoulder this on your own, you're going to die. You need to delegate responsibilities. You need to apportion responsibility to groups of 50s, 100, thousands, so that they can also take up some of the burden. And as a leader, I think this summarizes well that despite all the obstacles, the challenges that you might face in your leadership, it's important that you have the vision right, you have the people or a team that you can work with, but above all, you should have the wisdom to be able to delegate and to be able to also entrust responsibility on people around you who can actually sell and move with the vision that you have. For me, that's just a summary. And I want to finish with this cartoon, which basically summarizes it. You have a leader sitting up there and you have people pulling, but somehow he still has to convince them to pull. And he's sitting up there and he says, believe me, fellows, everyone from the Pharaoh on down is an equally valued member of the team. How do you ensure that despite the fact that people might be struggling under you, they still can buy into your vision and also be able to pull in the right direction that you want them to pull in? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. That was a quite lecture there. I believe our participants have noted some things that now more questions, more answers to be done very soon. All right, so like Paul said, he is not a Ugandan, he's from Kenya. He's from Kenya, so let's note he's a Kenyan. So let's note, right? Paul, please, someone from Kenya is called what?
You're a Kenyan. The same way you're a Ghanaian.
Kenyan. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Right, so moving on to the question and answering section. The question and answering section. I have some few questions here. Okay, so this first question goes to been directed to lawyer. That's Honorable John Kumah, lawyer. This question goes to you. From Emmanuel Owusu. He's asking lawyer that what is your biggest challenge as a leader? what is your biggest challenge as a leader? So this is for okay. Lawyer is currently off. A leader. Lawyer is currently off. Okay.
I'm back. I
So
can hear you.
let's wait a while for the lawyer. Okay. Okay. But then we move on to the next question. Okay. 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 So lawyer. So your question says what's your okay? So, lawyer. Your question says from Emmanuel Owusu.
Well, I am in charge of entrepreneurship and innovation in Ghana, and I think one big challenge that I face every day is the lack of enough resources to attend to so many requests and demands that come from young entrepreneurs, especially in the area of finance. We see a lot of good ideas, a lot of entrepreneurial ideas, but the scalability sometimes pose a lot of challenge. So I think that I wish I could do more for more people. And I see that as a big challenge, that we don't have enough for everybody at the same time.
All right. So thank you very much, lawyer. So Emmanuel Owusu, I believe lawyer has answered your question. All right. So lawyer, another question for you. Another question for you. This one is from the co-founder of Joy Aid Foundation, the project director, Honorable Gary Jumo. It says, how would you describe your leadership style? How would you describe your leadership style?
Well, my greetings to Jomo. I listened to him, and well, my leadership style, I would say that I am a positivist, and I am also an optimistic person. I always look at the cup as half full all the time instead of half empty, and I hardly listen to those who say it won't work or create doubts in what I want to do. So I am more of a positive thinker, and I believe that I always believe there's a better tomorrow.
Okay. So, Honorable Gary Jumo, your question has been answered. Your question, the lawyer has answered your question, and then he gave that to him too. All right. So, thank you very much, lawyer. Thank you very much, lawyer.
Thank you.
Okay, lawyer. Please don't go yet. Derek has a question for you.
Yeah, I think I'm from Ghana, and also I'm building up businesses and other stuff. And I have a question that I would like to ask. When it comes to businesses in Ghana, I think before, as a young entrepreneur, before you register your business and do everything as an entrepreneur, you'll have to go through a whole lot of processes. And most of them, as an entrepreneur, I would say for me, as a foreigner, I'm not a foreigner, but I'm not living in Ghana and I'm not living in Africa. You see, sometimes it's complicated. Not sometimes, it's really complicated to register your business, go through a whole lot of processes, and at the end of the day, what you go through is not what you really want. And the thing is, I want to be an entrepreneur living outside Africa. And what are some of the things that I would have to take in place? What are some of the things that I would have to really know to get my business into a different standard, like to help my to help my my people, to help my community.
Well, is Derek done?
Yes, I think he's done.
Okay. Yes, I agree with Derek to a point that we need to do more to ease the business environment in Ghana, and especially for startup. Sometimes the processes for registration and requirements for various regulatory bodies, if your business in the area of metric, you have to go through FDA, you have to go through standard authority. If you are to do with a mining sector, you need EPA, you need Environmental Protection, Minerals Commission. So it's true, the regulatory regimes are a little bit too robust and require you to go through a lot to have businesses done. But I can assure you that a lot is being done to create the enabling environment for businesses and to ease the environment for more businesses to be comfortable in terms of going through registration processes. Now, the government is introducing digitization even in the registration processes so that you don't have to go and do long queuing to be able to do the registration. And he asks about what does he need to do to be able to do well in doing business in Africa and beyond. I think that, Derek, you need patience. If you want to be a successful businessman on the continent, one key attribute you need is patience. And the system may be a little bit slow compared to maybe how businesses work elsewhere in Europe or in the West or even in the East. But in Africa, I can tell you there's much more to gain in doing business in Africa than any continent in the world. And the good news too is that we have now introduced the Intercontinental Free Trade Area with the headquarters in Ghana. And what that means is that you can set up a factory in Ghana or in South Africa or any country in Africa and, you know, be able to sell tariff-free in any part of the continent. So that offers a huge market opportunity to about 1.4 billion population or about $3 trillion per annum market. So all these are huge, huge opportunities on the continent that we can take advantage of. Look, nowhere in the world can you have returns on investment higher than Africa. So, of course, they won't tell you this, but if you check the numbers, the place to invest is Africa. But like I told you, just be patient in going through the processes. And if you can give yourself a little time, you will see that you have made the right decision investing in Africa, especially Ghana. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for the apport. This one is apport. Thank you very much. Well, so I believe our participants are taking notes of this. This one, the lawyer has given us a very good apport. So if you have the intentions of becoming an entrepreneur, it is the best place to invest is right here in Africa. Right here in Africa. And then Ghana is not an exception. Ghana is a very good country to invest as well. So you can become billionaires like them, millionaires and billionaires like them. All right, thank you very much, lawyer. All right, so the next question goes to Paul Tudor. I believe Paul is around. Next question goes to you. It says, okay, this one is from Honorable Gary to Paul. It says, is it right for a Christian leader to involve himself or herself in politics from? Okay, so is it right for a Christian leader to involve himself or herself in politics? That is the question. To Paul to right.
Well, that's a very tricky question. but I'll answer it from my own personal view, is in the sense that each and every one of us is a citizen of a country, and by that we are to one way or another under the existing laws of that particular country. Engaging in politics can come in many ways. I mean, we have our political right, for example, to vote. Everybody has a legal right to vote. That does not necessarily mean engaging directly in politics, but we have that right to vote as people. But I want to believe that for me personally, as a leader in a church, I will not want to engage in the kind of politics that we see in Africa. Let me use Africa as a case where, you know, everything goes out of the window, and it will be very difficult to differentiate between your principles as a Christian and your principles as a politician. I mean, we have Christians who are politicians, and for me, it's a very thin line between giving political views and engaging directly in politics. So for me, it's a gray area that I will not want to venture in as a Christian leader, but it does not mean staying timid and not being able to express views, particularly those that relate to human rights and those that relate to ills in the society. So corruption is an ill in the society. By condemning, for example, racism, by condemning corruption, it does not necessarily mean that you're engaging in politics, but it means that as a leader, you stand against the ills in the society. But engaging in politics as to, you know, campaign rallies and to try and use money or influence just to, you know, make it into a political leadership, for me, it's a no. That's my personal view.
All right, so it's a no. It's a no. That is from the view of Portugal. Yes, it's a no as a leader to, as a Christian leader to take part or get yourself involved in politics. Politics, especially the kind of politics we do here. All right, so thank you very much, Portugal. Thank you very much, Portugal. I had one question for lawyer, but then I think he's off. Is off. So I'll quickly remind you before we move on to the next. I'll quickly remind you about availability availability on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube as well. And then if you have any question and answers, okay, or you need any counseling about this topic, you can join our Telegram group. Join our Telegram group. That is Wendy Graham. I think, yeah, look for Wendy Graham on Telegram and then join that group. Okay, you can ask questions there and they will be answered, and then you can as well get counseling on this. Right. So don't forget the hashtags and then the social media handle: Joy Aid Foundation, Joy Aid Foundation on Instagram, Joy Aid Foundation on Twitter, Joy Aid Foundation on Facebook. Everywhere is Joy Aid Foundation, right? And then
I have a question.
Okay. So let me finish with the hashtags and you can. Right, so the hashtag is hashtag KWT2020, hashtag JAF, hashtag knowledge window talks, hashtag leadership, and also hashtag youth and support from JDOS Creations, and then also IDDGH. Thank you very much for your support. All right, so Derek, you can come in with your question. Sorry. Derek, your microphone. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. My question is, being a leader most of the time comes with like criticism, like, yeah, this guy, he's not supposed to be where he is supposed to be. And as a leader, how can you overcome all these things like criticism? being a leader, like leading a whole lot of people, and
Utilization.
you would say.
All right. So okay. Okay. I think one of our leaders will tackle this, but then I'm not too sure yet. But then let's move on to this one quickly. Then we can come back to that. Okay. Let's move on to our next activity quickly. Then we can come back to that. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me invite the next speaker. It's actually not going to talk much. It's actually just going to give us some food for thought on this topic. Food for thought. Yes. So help me welcome Joy Japan. She happens to be the co-founder of Joy Aid Foundation and then the quality director of Joy. I'm sorry, of Joy. Yes, Joy Aid Foundation. Yes, Joy Aid Japan. Joy Aid Japan.
Great. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, David, for taking up this role as a moderator. It's been amazing so far. I've learned a lot from various speakers, and I just want to share a little food for thought. But then before I narrow down to the food for thought, I would like to let you know what I think about what the window aspect of our talk series is about. So, like we know, a window is it's something that gives a room, good ventilation. It gives you an opportunity to tell what is on the outside of a particular room. Without a window, you know that there will be lots of suffocation, and there wouldn't be air passing through the room. So for us, tagging this talk series as a window talk is an opportunity for everybody here to share in their knowledge, take in some knowledge, go out there and make impact. So this is a very important session for us, and we are much grateful for everybody taking out their time to come in and learn something. So for me as a leader for, I would say, maybe for the past 12 years, yes, I have taken up leadership roles right from senior high school to university to working outside the university until now. I have been a volunteer for a long time, and so I am well vested in the, leadership issues and how to headings that come. So I will just leave this point out.
Technical challenges, but then they are working on it. Joy will come back.
That has to do with the window. So for window, I would say the first W of the window is willingness to learn. As a leader, you should try as much as possible to take up roles, learn from your leaders, your co-workers. It doesn't matter if you're a follower in wherever you are, but just you need to know that as a stepping stone, you need to learn how to follow from your subordinate. You need to be ready to learn from them so that you can, grow up in that leadership sphere and impact wherever you are. The I goes to intentional. You need to be intentional about what you're doing. There are so many roles, there's so many tasks that have been given to you to take upon. It doesn't matter if it's paying at a volunteer level, because volunteers give out their time, give out their energy just to ensure that they've made an impact. So try as much as possible to be intentional to learn, to be intentional to explore, to be intentional to serve. The next one is the N, that has to do with never give up. It's very tiring to go over certain hurdles. And as you know, some hurdles that you face in leadership is inevitable. you can't run away so much from it. All you can do is to embrace it, work on it, and jump over it. That's the point, bottom line on all these things. You have to ensure that you put in certain measures to overcome these challenges, because no matter what you do, they will come. So you don't have to give up. You need to keep pushing. Never ever give up. That should not even come to your mind to give up. Just keep pushing. Just keep learning. You make mistakes. You would what do you call it? You make so many mistakes. You would, yeah. The next one has to do with the D. That is, do it anyways. Do it anyways, because no one can do it better than yourself. Even if the task that has been given to you or the project that you are running is quite challenging, you have to explore. You have to be deliberate by going online, learn about certain practices from different institutions and organizations. Try as much as possible to push yourself further. There will be so many hits, side, left and right, up, down, whichever. Just have to focus on what you're doing and make sure that you do it yourself anyway. Because at the end of the day, the more you practice, the more you become perfect. So please try as much as possible to keep practicing what you do, keep learning, keep asking. There is nothing wrong with asking someone who is already in that field that you are in. If there's a project you're working on, if it's a team you're managing, if you're a volunteer, wherever, just try as much as possible to learn, to ask, and always keep practicing so that you become the best that you can be. The next I'll talk about is about open. So when I talk about open, it means that as a leader, you should be transparent. You should be open with certain strategies that you have. You should be open to your team. You should be open to ideas. You should try as much as possible to embrace everything that comes to your table, and try as much as possible to disclose certain things. Open up to people around you. Share ideas. Try as much as possible to encourage the people around you to be the best that they can be. Try as much as possible to share your ideas. I know that some youth find it difficult to share their ideas to their fellow colleagues because they feel like someone will steal their idea, etc., and all that. But you should have that kind of discernment to know who follows that same ideology as you, who agrees with your vision, who sees some things that they can make better in your idea. Try as much as possible to open, but if you don't open up, your idea may be on the shelf, or best, or maybe your idea will come out, but it will not be the best of the best, because there are certain things that a friend or a mentor can chip in that will make your idea the best. And like the saying goes, 2 heads are always better than one. So try as much as possible to be open. Now the last W goes to the win syndrome. I mean, I don't think any leader wants to lose in anything. You always have to gain that mindset, or have that mindset that you're going to win. So the moment you have that mindset, no matter the hurdles that come your way, no matter the challenges that come your way, you know that you are able to cross over that hurdle. You're able to ignore every obstacle that comes your way, because you are focusing on something, because you want to win, because you don't want to lose. And you are not giving up. So you have to keep pushing. Great. So that covers everything on my window aspect. So whenever you hear about we holding a knowledge window talks series, I want you to be aware that this embodies what a leader is, tackling certain spheres of life, be it environmental, be it social life, be it science and technology. But this time around, we are focusing on leadership. The food for thought that I want to share with everybody is that, looking at what I have shared on the window, I know we all know who Bill Gates is. We know how he started. He didn't finish school, but he had a vision. He wanted to start the computer business. He tried several times and he failed. What if Bill Gates, after several tries, he stopped and didn't want to push again? Would we ever have the desktop machines that we used to use back in the days? Would anybody even know what a computer is? This is what I want to leave for your thoughts. And I just want to encourage everybody out there that leaders don't quit. It may be trying, it may be challenging. There'll be so many setbacks, but you have to have that can-do spirit. You have to keep pushing. And even during this hard times that we find ourselves, like the pandemic, that's where your leadership skills needs to be seen by everybody around you. So thank you very much for your time, and feel free to ask any question if you have.
I think
Okay, so Paul, thank you very much. Co-founder for Joy 8 Foundation. Her name is actually Joy Ejapon. Joy, right? And also the quality director of Joy 8 Foundation. Yes, so thank you very much for your time. Derek, kindly ask your question again. Yeah. Derek, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I would say a very big thank you to everyone who joined today, and to our brothers and to our elders who spent their time today. I think most of the time, being in such situations says a lot and tells us a lot, like to give all everything that we are doing out. And I think there are a whole lot of people who had something to do today, but they never gave up. They gave all their all just to join us to learn a whole lot of things. And like I would say, our brother Paul, he was with us today. He had a lot of things today, but he still managed to join us. And our brother Matt Perry, he also joined us today. And our most brother Kumah also joined us today, and it's been a whole lot. It's been, I think it's been life changing, and I have written a whole lot of things, and I don't know if anyone wrote something down. And I would say a very big thank you to everyone who joined us today. Not to join us in any way, but to join us and learn something. That's very, very important. And I would say a very big thank you to everyone who joined us today.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Derek. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Indeed, it has been a very educative session for all of us who joined. Maxwell, Paul, who happened to be a speaker, a main speaker for the night, Derek, Ohima, Nancy, Perry, and then Lawyer. Thank you all for making time to educate.
But I think I want to ask a question now.
Okay, but then our leaders are not here. Speakers, except for maybe Paul can help. We can go ahead. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, my question is, I think we've all been through like something like I wouldn't like to say politics because we are not doing politics here. But what I really want to know is being a leader, and also coming through a whole lot of things. My question is, being a bad leader before, being a bad leader, and you just want to be now a very good leader. Does it take something like you'll have to be spiritually good enough, or do you have to be yeah, does it really talk about like being spiritual, about taking gospel things, or yeah, I just want to know.
Okay, so we humbly ask for Tuda to help us with this. If is it necessary to be the Christian type, okay, to be very spiritual to become a leader or to be a leader? Is it necessary? Yes. Is it necessary like that? So let's humbly ask Paul Tuda if he's around to answer this for us.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a challenge, because when you're talking about us to be spiritual, to be a leader, as I said in my definition of leadership, we are all in position of leadership, because so long as we are in a position where we are influencing or in contact with other people, there is a role that we play in guiding or leading them to a certain direction. Now, the definition of either good or bad leader is a little bit relative, and unless we look at example of what is a bad leader. But if we were to look at it from a biblical point of view, we know that there were leaders who were considered evil just because they diverted basically from the plan that God had given them. So they took other paths that God had not prescribed for them, and because of that, they practiced that which was evil. But in our society today, we have a lot of examples of leaders who are not necessarily, well, they may not necessarily be spiritual, but we can also still see from example that there are others who exhibit signs of wickedness, so in the way that they handle their citizens. But I don't want to be drawn into politics. I'm just saying that I think in each and every one of us, there is a spiritual sense to do right. And so long as we incline ourselves to our true values and to the principles which we know in the society and which we also know are prescribed in the Bible, we can remain true and faithful to the cause that we know. So it's a little bit difficult to define a good or a bad leader unless we have a basis for that definition. And if we look at it from the biblical point of view, it's very clear who bad leaders were or good leaders were. But one thing that I also have to point out is that I believe that every person has to be given an opportunity to change. Nobody is completely an outcast. All of us have an opportunity to change. And again, we see countless examples in the Bible of some leaders who were considered to be quite evil, like Manasseh, for example. But they were given a chance. God gave them a chance, and through God's mercy and grace, they were able to change and to be better leaders. So I think it's basically what do we mean by a good leader or a bad leader? And I think that's really relative unless we know exactly what we are talking about. What definition are we talking about? So what do you mean by a good leader? What do you mean by a bad leader? Then I think that kind of sets the discourse on which kind of criteria we use to define that particular leaning of a leader. So either if it's
All right. Okay. Well, okay. So I don't think Paul was done, but then his microphone is off. Okay. So then I believe Derek, I believe he has answered most, like he has spoken well, and then yes, you have been answered. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's quickly move on to the next. That is inviting our leaders, or sorry, our founders. Our founders. You know, the topic has been leadership, leaders. So leader is everywhere.
Yeah, that one.
Lips. All right. So let's invite the founders of Joy 8 Foundation to talk to us. Okay, so we can move on. All right.
Okay, I believe we've all learned enough. I believe we've learned enough, and I believe together we can make Ghana great. We should keep on pushing. We shouldn't give up. As the German adage goes, failure to market is normal. It's normal to make mistakes. So we should try and push hard, and together we can make Ghana great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so just to add up to what he said in Dutch, I wish I would have announced to everybody what the next theme for next month is, but I want to keep it as a surprise. And as you have liked our pages and you're following our social media handles, keep watch. We will share what we have next for next month. Thank you so much for your time. Having you around. Okay.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. Thank you very much. Joy.
There's something coming up.
Gabby. Thank you very much, guys.
There's something coming up also.